recording will be up on our YouTube channel within the next couple of days if you want to review anything that we go over today. Now, today's webinar is on version 8 sales orders. And where I like to start off with the sales order is in the system preferences. Now, understand that a sales order is a plan for a future sale. Very similar to how a purchase order is a plan to a future receiving, a sales order is the equivalent of that, only for a receipt. Now, first, what you would want to do is set up your system preferences that are related to sales orders. So I'm going to go into Options and then System Preferences. Now, if you have any questions, anything at all, please don't hesitate to raise your hand and ask the question. I do try to keep an eye on when hands are raised, but as you can tell, I do minimize this go to meeting window because it tends to get in my way. So if you raise your hand, it will alert me. Okay, so the system preferences related to sales orders are under point of sale, and then right here at sales orders. Now, there are three main types of sales orders available in Retail Pro. You have your customer orders, your special orders, and your layaways. There are also two different types of registries, a store registry and a company registry. We won't really delve into those today, but if you want more information on how the registries work, most definitely reach out to us and we can schedule you some time with a trainer if necessary. Now, the first system preference that you have here is the minimum deposit, good faith deposit that you would like the customer to give you in order for you to create their sales order. Now, a customer order is most typically used for items that you normally carry in stock. You just happen to be out of what they're looking for today, or you don't have the quantity they're looking for today. There is already a line item for that product, so nothing new has to be created. And if the customer should flake on you and not come back in after you order the product, you might be a little irritated, but you know that you could sell that product to another customer. You've done it in the past, and you most certainly can do it again. So with customer orders, it's not uncommon not to require a good faith deposit up front. Now, the second type of sales order is a special order. And this is an item that you may have never carried before. You may never order again, but for this customer, you're willing to go that extra step and order it for them. Now, because this is an item that you don't have any proven track record of selling, it's not uncommon to require a good faith deposit on that. Now, that deposit can be anywhere from 0 to 100%. Again, it's not uncommon for people to charge 50 to 100% for special orders, because with at least 50% in most cases, that's going to cover your cost. Now, the layaway is exactly like what it sounds like. You're going to hang on to the merchandise. They're going to make payments, and when it is fully paid off, you are going to give them the merchandise. It is not uncommon to require a minimum deposit when someone opens up a layaway. You are taking these items off your shelf and taking them out of circulation so you can't sell them to another customer. So for that benefit, you want to make sure that they're going to come back and get it. You want to make sure the sale is going to go through. So again, you can determine any amount of deposit that you want. Now, you'll notice over here to the right of these deposits, there's a require box. If you check the require box, it will not allow you to take less than the deposit that you have set up. In fact, if you check the require box, it is going to require that that is the amount that they give you. Typically, we would only require this on 100% deposits. Okay, now next you have the allow lost sales receipt when deleting an unfilled SO. If you are using the lost sales receipts, and you know if you are, then I would recommend that you check this. Now, a lost sale is a sale that could have, would have, should have happened, but didn't happen because, for a variety of reasons. Customer changed their mind, you weren't able to get the product for them. Again, if you're using lost sales, you're probably aware of that, and this is a setting I would turn on if you're using them. If you're not using them, this is really not going to benefit you in any way. Now, at the time that you create the sales order and the customer comes in to pick it up, so you've ordered it, taken their deposit, ordered it from the vendor, received it from the vendor, and called the customer, and the customer comes in to pick it up, you're going to do something we call record the sale. Now, at the point of recording the sale, that sales order is no longer necessary. So from the point that you delete that sales order, you can dictate how long you want that particular sales order to sit in an archive file. Now, typically, this would be between 30 and 90 days. We don't generally recommend that you do it any longer than 90 days, but if there's a reason for it, you know, we can set that to any time frame that you want. Now, require record sale. By default, this is set to any time. We do recommend that you cannot take it out of your inventory and record the sale until it is paid for in full and the customer has actually taken possession of it. And the main reason for that is if you record the sale the day you create the sales order, let's say you order the product and it comes in and you call the customer and they say, oh, you know, I changed my mind. Then you need to record a return to get that item back into your inventory. So until it actually leaves your inventory, we don't recommend that you record the sale. You also have the ability to put on the bottom of your receipt design, the following items are on back order. So let's say that a customer comes in and they have you order them 5 different things. They happen to be from different vendors. Now, in a perfect world, they would all come in about the same time, but we all know that that doesn't always happen. So let's just say, for argument's sake, 4 of the 5 items came in, and so you contacted the customer, and the customer said, I'd like to come pick those up and then just wait for the last item. When they pick those items up, on the top of their receipt, it's going to show the 4 items they're leaving with today. On the bottom of the receipt, it can optionally show that that 1 item is still on back order. And if you want that added to your receipt design, you just need to contact a trainer, and the trainer can make sure that that gets added to your design. Now, you also have the ability to create default instructions or default comments that they can choose from or that automatically show up on the sales order. Typically, I like to leave these blank because every sales order is unique unto itself, and the comment that I might put on one sales order may be drastically different than the one that I put on another sales order. As far as your cancellation policy, your return policy, all of that, a trainer can hard code that onto your actual sales order design for you. So I would not recommend that you use these fields for that information. Lastly, under options, you can list your different shipping methods, because typically with a sales order, that's the most common type of document where you might ship it for the customer. They may have you order it and ship it back home to them. So you can list all the different shipping methods that you use. You can add additional ones in if you choose to. So I'm just going to put in here pickup. Okay, because most of my customers, I'm going to set my default shipping method to pickup because most of them are going to come back into the store to pick up their order. Now over here to the side, you'll see the processing stations. This only comes into play if you have multiple stores. And what the processing stations are on the sales order, there will be a field that says process at. The process at needs to be the store that is going to work that sales order. So let's say that you create a special order at the main, but the customer lives closer to one of your remote stores, 60 miles away. So once the sales order is created, the main would change the process at station to the store location that actually needs to work that sales order. And what will happen during the process of polling, this sales order will get sent down to that particular store. Even though they have not been involved so far, they need a copy of that sales order, and they need the ability to work that sales order. So those are your settings that you need to make sure are set up before you start using sales orders. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, sales orders can be found under POS and sales orders. Okay. Now, what you're seeing here is a list of all of your active sales orders. Like you'll notice this particular one up here, this first one, this customer order, shows a 0 deposit balance and a 0 balance due. The only way that is possible is if you either recorded the sale or turned it into a receipt, or if you didn't put any items on it, if you started it but never actually completed it. Once you see the deposit balance is 0 and the balance due is 0, know that this is a sales order that you can delete and choose to archive. Okay? Even if you don't think that you're going to need a copy of that sales order, I do recommend that you archive it just on the off chance that you do. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new one, and I'm going to create a customer order. They all basically work the same way. The biggest difference between the sales orders, besides the deposit amount that you require, is that a special order will allow you to change the description of the item that you put on there. We'll look at that here in just a minute. Now, with all sales orders, you are required to put a customer on that document. We need to know who we're ordering it for and how to get in touch with them. So I'm just going to choose a random customer here. Okay, and as soon as my computer catches up with me, the joy of Retail Pro. There we go. Cancel this. I went too many keystrokes in, and it thought I wanted to go to inventory. Okay, so now I have that customer on there. You'll notice over here there are some date fields. These really only come into play when you're doing a layaway, and we'll look at a layaway here in a little bit. If you'll notice here's the originating store, here's the process at store. So the originating store is the store that is actually creating the sales order. The process at store is who's going to need to work that. Now, in most cases, they're one and the same, but some circumstances, that's going to be different. So just know that if you have multiple stores, this is how you're going to determine who actually gets a copy of that sales order and can take deposits on it. If you're using any of your POS flags will show up on your sales order screen as well. Okay, and they will, the same requirements that you have set for your point of sale flags on a receipt will be the same requirements that you have in a sales order. Okay, so once you have their name on there and you've set anything over here that needs to be set, you now are ready to put the items on there. Now, most typically, there's not going to be an item that you can scan right here, because if you had the item in stock, the customer probably wouldn't be needing you to order it, with the exception if they're having you order a larger quantity than what you have. That's about the only time that there's going to be something that you can scan. Okay? So most of the time, you're going to use the Choose Edit Items button, and that's going to take you into inventory. And just like you normally would any other time, use your search box, use your filter view, but find the item that you're looking for. So I'm going to use my filtered view. And I'm going to come down to my description too, and I know that the item I want has links in the description, and I want a size large. So I'm going to click OK. That's going to bring me back all of my links products with large or extra large because I just put an L in there. So I want one of the Links Vest, and I want one of the glove. That's what this customer is asking me to order. Once I find everything that they want me to order, I'm going to click the OK button, and that's going to bring back anything that I put a dot quantity in to order. That dot quantity lets the computer know this is an item that I want to put on my sales order. And I have no idea why my computer is being so slow today. Okay, there we go. So now you'll see I have those two items on there. Let me open this up a little bit so you can actually see it. Go. Okay, so once you have all the items on the sales order that they want you to order for them, you're going to save the creation of this sales order. This was one of the hardest things for me to get used to, because in my mind I wasn't done until I had taken a deposit. But you're saving the creation of the document, then you're going to take their deposit if you're asking for one. So I'm going to save this. Again, I apologize for how slow my computer is being. Now, because my system preferences are set up that I have to enter in my POS flag, I have to come up here, and we'll just say that this is a referral. Just in case, I'm going to mark that one as well because I don't want to get an error message again. So I'm going to save this. And once it's saved, because I'm not requiring any deposit on my customer orders, I'm simply going to give the customer a printout of what we discussed and what we set up, and you just simply come up here to print, choose all items, and then your design should automatically come up. So let me just choose one in here. We'll preview it, and there's my customer order. Okay. Now, let's say that I'm going to make a special order. So I'm going to click on New and choose Special Order. The screen looks almost identical to what you have in the customer order. Know that you can have them look different if you choose to. A lot of times people may put different color backgrounds on them, so it's easy to tell which type you're in. Again, you are going to be required to put a customer on there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a customer. I'm a little afraid to click on that OK again because last time I did that, it took me into inventory. So I'll just bide my time and let it go in there. Now with the special order item, what we typically do, obviously you'd fill out this information as well. So I'm just going to put in there, it's a repeat customer. Now with a special order item, this is an order of something that you've never carried before. So we do usually recommend that you set up a row in your inventory that is specifically, okay, let's see here, specifically for your special order items, because special orders will allow you to change the description of your item. And I'm going to, let's see what I have here, I believe. There we go. So I have special order right there. That's my line item. I'm going to click OK to this. Now, you can use that same line item over and over and over again, because the only place that you're going to change the description of it is going to be on the sales order itself. In inventory, it's still going to read special order item. Okay, so now that I have that on there, I'm actually going to change this and put in all of this specific information that belongs in here. Okay, I'm going to put in here okay, so I'm just putting in there what the description of the item. I'm going to put in the color, put in the size. Okay, and most importantly, I'm going to put in what we're actually going to charge the customer for this item. Okay. Now again, I can use item 18 because I know that's my special order item, and then I can change everything about that. Okay. And I'm going to, over here, I'm going to put dated. Okay. This is in black. There is no size, and I'm going to charge $55 for it. Okay. So once everything is on the special order for what the customer wants you to order for them, you're now going to, from this point on, it's just like the customer order, except we're going to take a deposit. You have to save this document first. Now, because we're requiring a deposit, it's actually going to prompt me and remind me, hey, you need to take a deposit on this one. Okay, so I'm going to save my changes, and it tells me a deposit is required in order to complete this sales order. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and it's going to take me into a deposit screen. Now, this deposit screen, it actually starts a new deposit for you automatically and puts in the total amount that they owe you. Now, watch what happens if I try to deposit less. And then I go to the tender screen. It lets me know, nope, you can't give me less. I can only take 100% for this. Okay? So if we go back and we look at that, it reverts it back to the 224. So I'm going to go ahead and tender that out, and I'm going to put it on a credit card. I'm just going to go ahead and force this. I didn't think I was set up for credit cards, but you know, we'll go with the check instead. Okay. So they've written me a check. I'm going to go ahead and update this deposit. That brings me back here. Now, I recommend that you give them their printout from this screen rather than the tender screen. So use the F11 on the tender screen. The main reason why is the printout that you would give them from the tender screen is only going to include the dollar amount that they gave you and how they gave it to you. So it would basically say $224.48, and it was paid for with a check. Whereas this printout is going to show me the customer's name. It's going to show me the items that they, excuse me, the items that they ordered and how much of a deposit that they have. So you'll see there's the name, here's the items, okay, gives me the product number, shows me the deposit balance and their balance too. So I can see from looking at this printout that there is no money owed on this. Once it comes in, I just need to record the sale. Okay, so I'm going to close that. So that's doing a special order. Okay, last but not least, we're going to do a layaway. So I'm going to create a new document, choose layaway. Just like the other two types of sales orders, I am going to be required to put a customer on the document. Okay, now let's say that the customer, I don't believe that I'm in my database, but I might be. Let's say that this customer is a new one that you need to enter in. Okay, they're not in your customer database. You can enter them in on the fly. Now, know too that you can, if you do not want to make them part of your database. Let's say that there's somebody that they're just traveling through, saw your store, and they want you to order something for them and then ship it to their home once it comes in. You can add the customer strictly to, so I'm just going to go ahead and create a new customer. Okay. Okay, so I created the customer. I'm going to save that customer, and I'm going to click OK. That's going to put that customer on there. But know that you do have the ability in sales orders to add the customer directly onto the document, but know that they will not be part of your database, so you won't be tracking the history of that customer. It also will ask you when you go to record the sale if you want to add that customer to your database. So it does try to add them even if you're doing it on the fly. Okay, so you'll see this is editable. Okay. Now, with layaways, there is a definite time frame involved, and everyone has their own policy as far as, layaway policy and how long you're going to hang on to it for them. So let's say that your layaway policy is 60 days, but you want them to make a payment within the first 30 days. So the order date is today. I'm going to come down to the payment date and go plus 30. So they know that a payment is due no later than August 11th. I'm going to come down to the total due by, and I'm going to put in plus 60, letting them know that their layaway will be canceled if they don't pick it up by the 10th of September. Know that I'm using a plus minus type of situation. You can also use the little radius button and pick a date from the calendar moving forward or backwards, however you want to do it. Okay. Again, I'm going to mark my how did you hear, and we're just going to say it was a walk by. Okay. Now, the nice thing with layaways versus the other types of sales orders, layaways, these are items that you physically have in the store. They walk up to the register with their arms full, and until they start talking to you, you don't know they're going to do a layaway. As far as you know, this is what they want to buy today. They put it all on the counter and they say, I'd like to set up a layaway for these items. Well, you have them there, so you might as well scan them just like you would scan them if you were in point of sale. And I honestly don't know my SKUs very well, so I'm just going to randomly pick some items. Okay. Okay. Boy, my sizes are all over the board with this one. So these are the items that they want to put on sale. Once you have everything scanned that they want to put on layaway, we're going to go ahead and save this. And then we're going to take a deposit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say yes. Okay, now you'll notice it did not prompt us and remind us about the deposit. That's what that, remember when we looked at the system preferences and there was that little require checkbox? That little require checkbox is what pops that window up. But you can still take an SO deposit. So manually, you're going to come over here to SO deposit. Anytime you come into the screen, whether it's the first time, the second time, the fourth time, the last time, you're always going to click on new. Now, by default, it shows you what 25% of that total is, because that's what we've set up in preferences. So if you didn't set up any percentage in there, this would show you the full total value of that layaway. I'm going to go ahead and tender this out, and we're just going to say that she gave us cash. And then I'm going to F11 because I don't want to print out from here. I want to go back to my sales order and get my printout from here. That way, my deposit balance and my balance due both print out on the document that I give to the customer, and they're aware when they walk out the door that they still owe you this much money. Okay? Now, that is the creation of a sales order. Okay? Yes, there's a lot of steps involved, but that is the creation of a sales order. Now, with the special order, once the customer has been helped, in the special orders, you actually need to go into inventory and create these line items and switch them out on the sales order. So now there is a report that you can run. I'm just jotting down the data that I wrote in there. 12. Okay, so customers walked out the door. Now the work starts for the person in the back room. Know that there is a report that you can run that will show you everything that's been put on a special order. You'll find that report, you'll find that report under summaries. So I'm going to go ahead and back out of here and see how long it takes to open up my reports. But that report is under summaries, and it's down near the bottom of your list. It's called SO merchandise on order, I believe. Okay, so I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of my list. Oh, SO committed merchandise. So if I run this report, I should see all of the items that I've put on there. So you'll see these right here, they're under the special order. These two I know I need to remake. So I'm going to go ahead and say no here, and we're going to close this. I'm going to go into my purchase order. I'm just going to do it in inventory. Normally you would do it through a purchase order as you were placing the order. I'm just going to do it right here. Now the department, we're going to go with, okay, vendor, okay, description 1 was 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Description 2 was lace cocktail dress. Attribute was teal. Size was 12. And most importantly, we're going to put in the price that we quoted the customer. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. I'm then going to create the one for the purse. And again, I don't have the right departments or vendors, so I'm just basically randomly choosing them. Okay, now this was, okay, and it was a beaded purse. Okay, the color of this was black. Well, and the cost was $23.99. I'm charging the customer, though, $50. Okay? Once those line items are created, it is very important that you go back into the sales order and you switch out the generic special order row that you use just so you can help the customer with the actual rows that you created. So I'm going to get back into that special order. Eventually. Okay, so I'm going to come to this cocktail dress, and that line item that I created was this item right here. So I'm going to click OK. And when I bring it back over and I switch them out, they should look pretty close to identical because I used that special order SKU in order to create the line item that I needed. Okay. Oh, we put it on there twice. Okay, so I'm going to take this one off there. Okay, so again, now I'm at a balance due of 0. Here, I'm going to put in, for this one, I'm going to change this one to item 21 because I looked to see what that number was. Okay, but other than the vendor code, they basically look the same as what they did. Now my balance due is slightly off. So maybe I think maybe I charged $55 on this. There we go. That's what I did. I charged $55. Okay. So now my balance due is 0, and as far as the customer is concerned, nothing has changed. But now I have the ability to save this, and now that I have line items for it, I can order that from my vendor. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I know once I call this into the vendor that this special order is taken care of. I've created the line items for it. I've taken the customer's money for it. I've ordered it from the vendor. I'm good to go. Okay? Now know that there is the option, once the line items are created, you can generate a purchase order directly from the sales order. But keep in mind, there's no way to combine multiple generated purchase orders into one purchase order. So if you have 3 different people that all ordered, had special order items from the same vendor, you could generate a PO for each one of them, but there would be no way to combine those 3 POs into one that you send off to your vendor. Because we have 2 different vendors here, if I generate a PO, it's actually going to generate 2 different POs, one for each vendor. Okay? So it tells me it made it for vendor BD, then it tells me it made one for vendor dot. If I look at view PO, it shows me the ones that it made for each one. Okay, so I'm going to just look at this first one. I want to view it. And you'll notice that your PO number starts off SO. That's a good indication that it was generated directly from the purchase order or from the sales order. That and the fact that it references the sales order number right here. Those are going to be the 2 key indicators for the receiving person, so they know not to put this item out on the floor, but to set it aside because this was ordered specifically for a customer. Okay, when you're all done looking at it, or you can edit and add to it, click OK, and it'll bring you back to your sales order. Any questions about creating sales orders at all? Okay. Okay then. So what I'd like to go over with you next is, in my opinion, the most important step in the sales order process. and that's turning this sales order into a receipt. That's very, very important. Until it gets turned into a receipt or recorded, those items have not come out of your inventory, nor has that merchandise been counted towards your sales. The sale, it gets counted towards your sales on the day that you record the sale or turn it into a receipt. Now, let's just say with this customer order right here, they come in and they want to pick it up. Okay, there's two different ways that you can turn this into a receipt. Okay, one is called recording the sale, but we have our system preferences set up that it will not allow us to record a sale until the final deposit. And this particular order doesn't have any deposit on it because it was items that you'd normally carry. So first, you need to take a deposit to pay for that. Okay, we're going to take a new deposit. Now, if this had been paid off in full, you wouldn't have to do this particular step here, but we do need to get it paid off. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the tender. I'm going to say she gave me $160 in cash. I'm going to F11. Go back to my sales order. Now there's no balance due. And okay. I'm wondering why my record sale button is grayed out. Huh. Okay, I don't know exactly why my record sale button is grayed out, but if you click on this record sale button, it will automatically turn this sales order into a receipt. It will give you a couple promptings such as, do you want to print the receipt and that type of thing. But this is the easier of the two ways I'm going to show you to record a sale. The downside of this record sale button, you may wonder, well, why don't you just always use the record sale button? And the reason that you would not want to use the record sale button is, let's say that only the vest came in and the customer wanted to come in and pick up the vest and then wait for the gloves. The record sale button will not allow you to pick and choose which items they're picking up. So now the other method of recording a sale or turning it into a receipt is you're on a receipt screen. Most of the time, 95% of the time at your register, you're on a new receipt screen waiting to ring up the next sale. So okay, I'm going to go into a new receipt. So the customer walks up to the counter. And they say, you know, so-and-so gave me a call and said that my merchandise that you guys had ordered for me is in. I'd like to pick it up. Okay? So one of the first things that you're going to do is you're going to reference the sales order number. I'm going to go ahead and use the one that we just took a deposit on. Okay, we're going to go with this one right here. Or no, this one right here. Okay, that's the one that I want. You'll notice that it brings over the customer's information. It also brings over the flag information. Brings over everything but the items. Now on the side menu, you'll notice there is a SO items button. So you're going to go into the SO items. It's going to show you all of the items that were on that order. This allows you to pick and choose which items they're picking up. And again, I'm missing my description too. Okay. So just for argument's sake, we're going to say that they are picking up the vest. So I'm going to say they're picking up one of this, and that's how many was due. Once I have the dock quantity matching what they're picking up, I'm going to click OK. Now, if they're picking up everything, you can click on this Sell Due button. We'll do that here in just a second. Okay, and it only brings over that one item. So now I'm going to go ahead. You'll notice, though, that it is showing the full price of that item. As soon as I go to the tender button, though, it is going to prompt me and ask me if I want to use the deposit that they gave me. In 18 plus years, I can honestly tell you I've never had a single customer tell me, no, I'd rather you guys keep my deposit. I'm good. So don't even worry about asking the customer this, because this is kind of one of those, of course I want to use my deposit type things. Okay? So it's going to take the amount of her deposit that it needs to cover the price of the item she's picking up. So she's not going to have to give you any additional money today, but it is going to take some of her deposit. Okay? And that will come across as a tender deposit, and that's the way you'll see it on your Z out. That's the way you'll see it on your tender reconciliation reports. I'm just waiting for it to catch up with me. There we go. Okay, so let's just say, for argument's sake, our layaway customer comes in, wants to make a payment on their layaway. That's mostly common. So I'm going to highlight the layaway, and I'm going to make sure it's the right one. Sometimes they might have more than one. And I'm going to take an SO deposit again. I'm going to create a new deposit. Like I said, every time they want to make a payment, you're going to click on New, and it's going to keep track of each time they came in. Okay? So this is the amount that they still, well, here you go. Let's go over here. They're going to make another $100 payment. I'm going to tender it out. Just say they gave me cash, F11, go back and give them a new printout, because now they have a new balance due. Okay? Now, I go back and I get into my receipt screen because I want to be ready for the next sell. And in walks our customer that placed a special order. So on a new receipt, I tend to use the method that I showed you just now because I like the ability to be able to pick and choose which items they're picking up. But some people do prefer the record sell button in the sales orders. Okay, so I'm going to reference the sales order number. Highlight my special order and click OK. I'm going to go to SO items. It's going to show me all the items that were on this particular sales order, and I'm going to click on Sell Due. What that's going to do is it's going to fill in my dock quantity with the quantity that I still owe the customer. Once my dock quantity matches what they're physically picking up, I'm going to click OK. Okay, so I'm now back on my receipt, and you'll notice it is showing the total. But remember, as soon as we go to the tender screen, it is going to prompt and ask if we want to use the deposit. So I'm going to say yes, and you'll see that she had enough deposit to cover the entire purchase. So you're simply just going to update the sale and give her the printout and send her on her way. It is absolutely critical that you do this record sale or turn it into a receipt step. A number of years ago, I had a customer that did special orders. It was not uncommon. They were a higher-end houseware store, and their requirement was that the customer paid 100% on their special orders. Well, I went in to help them with their physical inventory, and we had a really good physical. We were done in a decent amount of time, and so I was doing some auditing with the accountant and the owner, and the accountant just, she says, "Can I ask you something that is totally non-related?" Of course, I'm there to answer questions. So she asked me, she says, "I have this deposit account over in accounting that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I don't know where the money's coming from, and I don't know what to do with it." And so as we dug in and we investigated, we found out that the staff was just simply, when a customer would come in and say, "Susie told me that my order was in," they would wrap the package up nice and neat and tidy and send the customer out the door with their package, but they never recorded the sale. So now we're in the situation, we just done a physical inventory, but we have all these sales orders that need to be recorded, and that's going to alter our quantities. So we ended up doing that. We ended up recording the sale, and then we got to do a physical inventory after we were done with that. So it is absolutely critical that you do that last step. Any questions about anything that I've covered today? That's pretty much everything there is to sales orders, the different types of sales orders, anything at all that you're not clear on. Okay, well, I'm going to take from the silence that means there's no questions, and so I'm going to wrap up today's webinar, and thank you for your time. And again, if you want to review this or watch any little part of it, it will be up on YouTube by the end of the week. Thank you again so much for joining me, and have a great day. Bye-bye.